heavy. Whew, that's really strong. I don't think I can wear it. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashoda Nana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashoda Yashoda Nana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Manachari Yamunadira Yamunadira Manachari Yamunadira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashoda Nana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajikacharya Astasata Shishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vrindavan Ishna. Oh, Ananda okay, just lost it. Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sekho Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Gangamai Ki Jai, Yamunamai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda, Hari Hari Bolo. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru Angaranga and His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I hope my mouth can keep up with my mind at this point. I'm not sure what's going to come out. Oh. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are in the 10th canto, chapter 74, and reading text 20 and 21. Okay. And, all right. Yad Atmakam Idam Vishvam Kratavash Cha Yad Atmakaha Agnir Abutayo Mantra Sankhya. Oh, don't you do that. Sorry, it went blank. Sorry. Sankyam Yogas. Sankyam. Sorry. Yogas. Cha Yat Paraha Eka Evad Vityo Sav Aitad Atmyam Idang Jagat Atmanat Mashraya Sabya Shrijati Avati Hantyaja Yadatmakam Idam Vishvam Kratavascha Yadatmaka Agnirabhutayo Mantra Sankyam Yogascha Yatpara Eka Evit Vityosa Haitadatyam Idam Jagat Atmanatmashraya Sabhya Srijatyavati Hantyaja Yadatmakam Idam Vishvam Kratavascha Yadatmaka Agnirahutayo Mantra Sankyam Yogascha Yatpada Eka Evadvitiyo Sa Aitadat Atmyam Idam Jagat Atmanatmashraya Sabya Srijatyavati Hantyaja. Let the devotees go. Yatnakamidam Vishvam Kratavascha Yadatmaka. Eka evadvitiyosa Haitatatmyam idam jagat Sabya Shrijatyavati Hantyaja. Anybody else? Yadatmakam idam vishvam Kratavascha yadatmaka Agnirahutayo mantra Sankhyaam yogascha yatpada Eka eva dvitiyo sav Aitadatmyam idam jagat Atmanachma shraya sabya Srijatyavati hantyaja. Anybody else? Yat atmakam, founded upon whom? Idam, this. Vishvam, universe. Kratava, great sacrificial performances. Cha, and. Yat atmaka, founded upon whom? Agnihi, the sacred fire. Ahutaya, the oblations. Mantraha, the incantations. Sankhyaam, the doctrine of philosophic investigation. Yogaha, the art of meditation. Cha, and. Yat, at whom. Paraha, aimed. Eka, one. Eva, alone. Advitya, without a second. Asau, he. Aitat atmyam, founded upon him. Idam, this. Chagat, universe. Atmana, through himself, i.e., his energies. Atma, himself alone. Ashraya, having as his shelter. Sabya, O members of the assembly. Srijati, he creates. Avati, maintains. Hanti, and destroys. Ajaha, the unborn. So translation, the entire universe is founded upon him, as are the great sacrificial performances, with their sacred fires, oblations, and mantras. Sankhya and yoga both aim toward him, the one without a second. O assembly members, that unborn Lord, relying solely on himself, creates, maintains, and destroys this cosmos by his personal energies, and thus the existence of this universe depends on him alone. So we can repeat, this entire universe is founded upon him, as are the great sacrificial performances, with their sacred fires, oblations, and mantras. Sankhya and yoga both aim towards him, the one without a second. O assembly members, that unborn Lord, relying solely on himself, creates, maintains, and destroys this cosmos by his personal energies. And thus, the existence of this universe depends on him alone. So I'll read the commentaries by the Acharyas. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur shares, here he expands on his previous statement. He is the object, Yat Para, of Gyan, Sankhya, and Astanga Yoga. He explains further his previous statement. He is one, all other forms of God being non-different. He is Advaitya. Nothing is different from him. Since he is one with everything, etad atmyam, this is because of the actions of his Shaktis. By himself as material Shakti, Prakriti, he creates, maintains, and destroys. He is the ultimate shelter of all, Atmashraya. O assembled persons, if you have differing opinions, then present them, and I will settle them. Jiva Goswami shares, the reason for Krishna being everything is given. The source of unlimited universes is Krishna, Yad Atmakam. Just as the sun is the source of the rays, he is the source of sacrifice and its limbs, fire, oblations, and mantras. The procedures for liberation, Sankhya and Yoga, are for attaining him. He gives shelter to these processes, Yatparaha. The word eka indicates rejection of anything equal to him, and the word advitya indicates rejection of anything other than him. The word eva indicates anything else is impossible. Thus, everything is one with him, etad atmyam. This is illustrated in the last line. He creates, maintains, and destroys by Shaktis, derived from his Swarup, Atmana. Therefore, he is not dependent on anything else, Ajaha. The word Eka can also describe his oneness with the universe. And Sanatana Goswami, the reason for Krishna being everything is given. The source of unlimited universes is Krishna, Yadatmakam. The universe is non-different from him, being his Angsa. He is the source of sacrifice and its limbs, fire, oblations, and mantras. The procedures for liberation, Sankhya and Yoga, are for attaining him, or yoga means samadhi, or merging in Brahman. He is one alone, Eva, without internal differences of same forms, as the Chaturvyuha, etc., and without external difference, as jivas, etc., Krishna Asau creates the universe by himself, Atmana. There is no other cause. He is the shelter of himself. He is non-different from all means. He is not created like the universe, Ajaha, but manifest by himself. This indicates that he is the Supreme Lord. O members of the assembly, Sabyaha, all this is known to you, qualified people, or in the absence of all else, even Gyan and liberation are also dependent on him. So, Omigana Timbaranjana, Kananjana Shalakya, Chakshur Militam, Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. And I mean, after hearing this, what question is there that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? I just feel so immensely grateful for Srila Prabhupada and his willingness to make all the sacrifices that he made to bring this so that it would be very clear who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is, how to obtain him, what method, draw out a very intricate map with all the details through the Shastras of giving us a direction, the direction in which we can obtain Krishna. And then, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality without any doubt, with all these references that we have. And so we're in this place and in this assembly with the Pandavas and Krishna and Grandfather Bhishma and, all these personalities, and giving indication, and Bhishma is sharing, this is who this offering should go to. And of course, they're going to get feedback, negative feedback and pushback, and argument about, who is it that gets to serve first, because that's what, is coming up. Who's going to be served first? And, it's like, so why should it be Krishna? And so we're getting an explanation of that. And so, but I was thinking about this because I was really inspired yesterday by Mother Irmela's class. It was really wonderful. There's just like so many different wonderful points in the class. And then, it came to the end, and then I was thinking about who we should serve first, and one of my thoughts and questions to her was, should we serve the spiritual master first? Because he's the way that we even have a relationship with Krishna. And so then I was thinking, like meditating on this and diving into it, a little bit deeper of, why should we depend on Krishna? Why should we take shelter of him? Why should he be first? What makes him the greatest? And what proof is there that he cares about us or loves us? Why is it we're, sacrificing all of our understanding to put him first? And the question came back to me is, well, why wouldn't we? For a very simple reason is that we're part and parcel of him. And she also mentioned that Krishna was the most sacred place. And for me, that means he's the safest place, right? But being that he's part and parcel, or that we're part and parcel, I was thinking about what parent, like if you take it from a parental perspective, what parent, we're part and parcel of Krishna, right? We're totally connected to him. And what parent wouldn't love or sacrifice for their child, right? What parent wouldn't do anything for the safety and the protection? What parent wouldn't love their child? I mean, and certainly we do see examples of that, but that's because those parents who do those heinous things, are materially bound, and they're not Krishna conscious. They're not conscious of Krishna. But most parents love their children and would do anything for them, not to see them in pain, not to see them suffering. And so that's, for me was the answer. That's why, Prabhupada brought us to show us what real love is, what real sacrifice is, and what we can get out of it, which is not a false love, isn't a temporary love, isn't some illusion of love. It's actually real love and real sacrifice. And when we start to think, and as we've been practicing in Krishna consciousness and we see what we have, we can go back to seeing, and coming to this vision of Krishna consciousness of, that we see, and which you can see in these purports of him being the source of everything, unlimited creator of everything, is that everything that we see, everything that we have, there isn't anything that isn't a part of Krishna, right? It's that universal vision of seeing that everything is Krishna. So yes, it is the most sacred place. It is the safest place. And that's why we should serve Krishna. And there's one of my spiritual masters, if not favorite verse, is 6:30, which is, for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. And there's so much connection in that. There's just so much connection to everything, to ourselves, to Krishna, to all living entities and all their connection to Krishna. And I keep coming back to what I've come to see in analyzing Krishna consciousness and analyzing my life and analyzing relationships and analyzing the doubt, the struggle, the suffering, and everything else that's going on, is that Krishna is the great equalizer of everything. He can bring everything into a very equipoised and a very balanced, position where everything's in its right place when it's connected to Krishna. And when we do that, when we practice, and to kind of give example or expand on that a little bit, when we do connect everything to Krishna, we end up reversing our vision, reversing our material vision, and seeing everything through Krishna's vision, through his position, from his position, from his point of view, his POV, and from his understanding. We start having that reversed vision, and we start having spiritual vision instead of material vision. And then he's also, I was thinking about it, he's the great neutralizer. And, neutralizer is something that comes in, like if there's something that's too acidic, it brings it into a more balanced position. And so he's this neutralizer. When we connect to him, we get this Krishna vision, and through connecting to him, through doing our devotional service, etc., the mind becomes materially neutralized, and then enlivened and spiritually balanced and equipoised spiritually, right? And that's what he does. He comes in and he takes all this, material jargon and lifetimes of misunderstanding and concepts and labels, and judgments and all those other things, and he puts it in and he neutralizes all of that and brings it back into its proper pH, right? Into its proper balanced position, so that everything can function properly in relationship to him. So we get connection by connecting to Krishna. And I was thinking about this in thinking about seeing everything in Krishna and being protected by that. And I have this little, what would you call it? It's like a little flip, card flip with little quotes on it. And it's a small one that somebody put together about by my spiritual master. And the one that I've kept it on a lot recently is, one of the things he said is, to love means to serve. And that seems like a simple statement, but if we truly want to have real Krishna conscious love through how Krishna loves everybody, and we want to take up and love like that, then that means to serve, and to find a way to serve every living entity in a way that will encourage it to have a relationship with Krishna, in a way to heal their misunderstanding and the pain that, the mental pain, the physical pain that's causing from having that misguided, un-Krishna conscious, perspective. And so, in other words, and again, going back to who to serve first, by serving others, we're actually connecting to Krishna. And so, and I was thinking about that, going back again to a lot of what Mother Irmela was talking about, of who to serve first, the spiritual master, and how to have that Krishna conscious vision. And, is it Krishna that I serve first, or is it, the spiritual master? And I was thinking, actually, it's both. And it's Achincha Beta Abeta Tattva. It's simultaneously one and different. There can't be there's really no difference to it. It's because, on one level, the only way that we can, attain Krishna consciousness is through the disciplic succession. That starts with the spiritual master, and for me, it goes from my spiritual master to Srila Prabhupada to his spiritual master. There's this whole disciplic succession, like an umbilical cord that is, at initiation reattaches us to the source of Krishna. And we can see that, we even have the Gaurvastika, in the morning that we sing, that sings about, and praises the spiritual master very specifically because of the characteristics, of a bona fide spiritual master, and how he's acting and performing, and how he sees everything, and how he's so joyful at the fact that people are, engaged in performing devotional service, right? And it's worth going back and, reading it in the words and the translation. So on the one hand, we have the spiritual master who's saying Krishna's first, or my spiritual master is first, Krishna's first. But then, and even in the Bhagavad Gita, we have Krishna also saying that he's first, right? In 1866, and I'll flip over there really quick. I should have marked it, but I did not. And I haven't memorized it because I have a very Kali Yuga brain. Abandon all varieties of religion and just to surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions, do not fear. And in 67, this confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. And so, again, that's giving some indication of what we're going through, and what this whole thing is, like looking at the Rajasuya sacrifice, King Yudhisthira, now who's the personality that was making all the offenses? Shishupal, and all his 100 little feathers that he's, got to throw down. But, all of this is about having an attitude adjustment, right? Of realigning our mental attitude and our consciousness to Krishna consciousness. And that's sharing this. And then, there's also, we've got the example of watering the root. By putting Krishna at the center, it's like watering the root of the tree. Everything's taken care of. We've got the well reservoir example too, that, what water you could find in a well, the reservoir of Krishna can cover that and everything else. There's nothing, that's not covered by that. And so, but on the opposite side, you have, Krishna serving his devotees and saying, the person who, is really basically serving me or thinking that, serving me directly, but isn't serving the devotee, my devotee, really isn't connecting with me. The person who's serving my devotee and the devotee of the devotee and all the other living entities, he's my real devotee. So there's this thing, and there's this loving exchange that happens between, the devotee and Krishna. And it's this reciprocal thing that's like this continuum that's constant. So again, for me, it was like a Chincha Beta Tatwa, that there's this simultaneously one different, that there's no difference. When, and again, going back to that child, like I was thinking about that, that example of a child and the parent, and what it means to, how is it that we're serving Krishna when we're serving the spiritual master? And what parent, if somebody is out there saving their drowning child and they pull that child out of the drowning water, what parent wouldn't think that you aren't serving them? That parent that's saying, you did the greatest service for me by saving my child, right? And so it's this, it's this intertwined, woven, like the example that came, this whole connectivity of connecting everything to Krishna and how it's simultaneously one and different was like this big puzzle. You've got all these little individual pieces. They're all in these different colors. They're all in these different shapes. And individually, they really don't make anything. But when you pull them together and you put Krishna in the center, you've got this amazing puzzle with all these pieces that have connected that make this beautiful picture. Whereas without, there's nothing there. It's just these individual pieces. And that's what, Shishupal is, bless his little heart, is missing, in thinking, in criticizing, he's not getting it. And he's really, an example of what it is like to be so materially absorbed and so selfish and self-centered, and can't take the fact that maybe what happened to him, when he was younger, maybe was meant to happen for his own personal benefit and lessons. And so Krishna has to, take care of that. And what's really interesting, another piece of that is that, he cuts off his head, and, there's this huge, argument, or could be a huge argument about, why did you commit such a heinous act of killing him? But, Krishna's whole purpose is to stop him from continuing to condemn himself to greater and greater suffering, and that's the amazing thing about Krishna and Krishna as God, based on my own personal experience of growing up in the Christian faith, is that it's not just this heaven or hell thing and what you should do is right or wrong, but there's somebody that loves me enough to correct me, and he's not doing it out of maliciousness. He's doing it for my own benefit. He's doing it for all, the living entities' benefit. And why wouldn't he? Because we're all part and parcel of him. We're all connected to him. There's not a part of himself that he doesn't love. I mean, we love ourselves, and we should take care of ourselves because we are part and parcel of Krishna. But we get that warped and, bent misunderstanding when we become so self-absorbed. And so, I was thinking again, like, really unpacking who do we serve first, that by performing the selfless actions for the benefit of others, it really does align with putting God or Krishna first. And by serving humanity, when we're motivated by Krishna consciousness, or the consciousness having, the consciousness of Krishna, what his consciousness is, and do that with devotion, we're actually serving both at the same time. And so for me, it was just, I don't know, the sense of so many things, but contentedness, peacefulness, of knowing that I love Krishna. He's, everything to me. I wouldn't be anything without him. And at the same time, I can love my spiritual master as much. And we can do that because the spiritual master, the bona fide spiritual master, is the transparent via medium. So like Srila Prabhupada, and so many people said he's like the living form of Bhagavatam, that's what it is to become Krishna conscious, is that you're conscious of Krishna all the time, and your consciousness is exactly like Krishna's, and so you're reflecting that. And that's our goal, is to become like that, and have those things. And then, and we do that, and I think the root of that, getting to that place of understanding, is humility. Humility is the door and the gate and the avenue for being able to obtain all that. And you'll see that with a bona fide spiritual master. You saw it with Prabhupada all the time. You see it with devotees. They always give credit to Krishna or their guru. They don't take the credit themselves. And that's the practice. That's what we're practicing. And that's the only way we can have untainted, true, vision or love, and as Prabhupada actually called it, unalloyed. Of not being selfish but selfless. And unalloyed, if you don't know metalworks, you alloy different metals to make them stronger or more cost effective, because pure gold is really expensive, but if you alloy it with lesser and other things, depending, you get rose gold with copper, you get, there's all these different combinations of alloys, but unalloyed is pure. And, that's what, we're going through for, and I'm thinking, like this thing of how we try to develop humility. And I constantly remind myself and even, share with you that everything that's coming out of my mouth, that's Krishna consciousness, that connects you to Krishna, that seems like, wonderful stuff, whatever, it's because my spiritual master has connected me to Krishna. I don't own those things, right? It's because my spiritual master has connected me to Krishna. And then if I start taking credit for any of it, which I do, the mind does that. The false ego does that in the background. It wants to do that. That's when, when I take credit, that's when I'm lost. That's when we're lost, is when we start taking credit. So, one of the things we can do is, try to practice every time we get some intelligent, brilliant idea, understand that comes from Krishna and give it to him, give him, the credit for that and thank him. Oh, wow, thank you for that. Thank you for giving me that idea. Thank you for giving me that, solution to the problem. Always turn it back to Krishna and then the spiritual master, because when you connect with the spiritual master, and the reason for doing that is training you up to learn how to love Krishna, is that, and through that constant instruction is you'll start to hear and understand what you should do based on the training that you've received, because then you get to do that yourself, right? It's like a piano. You have a teacher that teaches you how to run the scales, teaches you how to put melody together, and then it gets more complicated. But at a certain point, you can even improvise, right? Because you've taken it all in, and then you're it's like the bird, boom, you're kicked out of the nest, and it's time to fly. There is a time when we get to fly. And so, again, just being careful about taking that credit, because otherwise we get wrapped up wrapped back up in that blanket of Maya. And then the image to me, as I was thinking about that, of like, being, wrapped up from her and not actually even being able to move, and we're, as the, there's that example of being bound, when we're material bound, we have to have somebody unbind us, because if we're bound, we don't have any access to being untying ourselves. And that's what the spiritual master does, is he pulls all those knots and, attachments to all those things. And so that's kind of what, to me, that blanket of Maya is. And then there was also this image of somehow, or our royal cape of red velvet, that has all the ermine fur, which was a very big status symbol in the day. Is that we become proud, and therefore we start decorating ourselves like, we're the greatest. So for me, it was just, always wonderful to go back into the scripture, connect to Prabhupada and all his teachings, everything that he brought us, and unpacking, what it is, who to put first, and for me, understanding that it's both and that I can do both. And by doing that, then I'll start putting other living entities first too, because they are part and parcel of Krishna. They are connected to Krishna, and they are my family. Sometimes that's hard. Sometimes living with family can be very challenging. But still, to have that vision, to have Krishna's vision, which Prabhupada absolutely did and does, and I see it in my spiritual master too, brings some form of contentedness and relief, because we know that at some point our vision will be purified and will be unmotivated by selfishness, and not commit offenses, and, not have to go through, the struggle. We'll be continually happy because we're connected to that reservoir of happiness, that reservoir of pleasure in Krishna. So I don't know if anybody has any thoughts or experiences or different questions or... Yes. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's a love of mine. I do love to share because it makes it personal. For me, it holds me accountable. And I think, I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but I think because I'm seeing the breakdown of certain things which I've brought up in class before, is that I don't have a relationship with my father because he doesn't want to have one. And yet, and so, I see all these struggles, and I've been through a lot in my life, and because of that, I'm constantly thinking how, at one point it was to avoid all those different things, but now how to repair and heal all those things. And so I'm constantly trying to figure out through introspection of how I can do that for myself, and then obviously try to transition that in my own consciousness and how I relate to other people, because I haven't always done the best job based on my own circumstances. When you go through different traumas or life experiences, it can affect how you react to other people. And so to be able to go through class, the other thing is that it's when you connect with Krishna, you get so much inspiration, right? And then you start seeing how everything connects to everything, because then it just goes, well, to this Bhagavad Gita verse, this Bhagavad Gita verse, this is what my spiritual, it's just boom, 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 boom. It just opens all the doors, and that's so enlivening. So it's wonderful to be able to share that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I'm giving this class not to just give it at people, but to, also hold myself accountable, So, yeah, thank you. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the Association of Devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, it's just I don't know how to explain it, because I keep on wanting to try to define it, but it's kind of hard, right?
Vipavari Shesha Loka Pravesha Nidrachari Uto Jiva Vipavari Shesha Aloka Pravesha Nidrachari Uto Jiva Allah Hari Hari Mukunda Murari Rama Krishna Hayagriva. Let's sing the whole thing together. Everybody. Nirsimha Vamana Sri Madhusudana Prajendra Nandana Shama Uttana Gatana Kaitava Shatana Daja Dasarati Rama. Everybody. Yashoda Dulala Govinda Gopala Vrindavana Purandara Gopi Priya Jana Radhika Ramana Bhuvana Sundara Ravanam Takara Makana Taskara Gopichana Vastrahari Prajera Rakala Gopa Vrindapala Chittahari Vamsidhari Yogindra Vandana Sinanda Nandana Prajajana Bhayari Navina Nirada Rupamano                                                                                                           ' Yashodanandana Kamsani Sudana Nikunchara Savilasi Kadamba Kanana Rasaparayana Vrindavipina Nivasi Ananda Vardhana Premaniketana Pulashara Jojaka Kama Gopangana Gana Chitta Vinodana Samasta Guna Gana Dhamma Jamuna Jivana Keli Parayana Manasa Chandra Chakara Namasudara Saga O Krishna Yasha Rakovachana Manamora Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Sirade Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Radhe Shyam, Jaya Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Jaya Radhe Shyam. We can read the translation together. The night has come to an end, and the light of dawn is entering. O Jiva soul, arise and give up your sleep. Chant the holy names of Lord Hari, giver of liberation, enemy of demon Muda, supreme enjoyer, all attractive, and Hayagriva, the horse-headed incarnation. Narsimha, half man, half lion incarnation. Vamana, dwarf Brahmana incarnation. Killer of demon Maru. Beloved son of Raja's ruler. Beautifully dark complexion. Slayer of witch Putana. Destroyer of demon Kaitaba. And victorious son of Dasharath, Lord Ram. Darling of Yashoda. Giver of pleasure to cows, land, and spiritual senses. Cow protector, Lord of Vrindavan, the Gopis beloved, lover of Radhika, and most beautiful in all the worlds. Cause of demon Ravana's demise as Lord Ram. Badu thief, robber of the Gopi girls' clothes. Young herdsman of Raj, protector of the other her boys. Thief of hearts and flute carrier. Worshipped by the best of the yogis. Nanda's joy, remover of all fears for the people of Raj, colored like a fresh rain cloud, enchanting in form and charming while wandering and playing the flute. Yashoda's joy, vanquisher of demon king Kamsa, enjoyer of the rasa dance among the forest groves, and especially under the Kadamba trees, and resident of the woods of Vrindavan, increasing the ecstasy of his devotees. Reservoir of all love, the transcendental Cupid who uses his flowered arrows to increase the loving desires of the gopis, the pleasure of the hearts of all cowherd men, and the abode of all wonderful qualities, the life of the Yamuna river, always absorbed in amorous pastimes, and moon of the mind, which is like the moonlight feeding chakra bird. Heed my words, O mind. These holy names are full of nectarian mellows. Therefore, sing the glories of Krishna. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai.
Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipanam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Smaranena Kala Etadrishi Tavakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Suhishuna Amani Namana Dena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhakti Ahoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vijame Bhavam Buddha Kripaya Tavabada Pankaja Stita Duli Sajushim Vachintaya Nayanam Galashru Daraya Varanam Gad Hridaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanamagrahaneva Vishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Pravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahiname Ashlishava. Thank you. Adarshanam Marma Taukarotuva Yatatadava Vidadatulam Pato Mat Prananatastusa Eva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is a prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy names of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love, flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he's always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally. Shri Shastra Ki Jai. Thank you, Mother Chaitanya, for dressing Shri Shri Radha Golokananda so nicely. And there's so many beautiful flowers. It's just like a rainbow of color. And downstairs, we know we have Sundari Radha heading up the kitchen crew and making a nice offering. Haribo.